Hi, my name's Paolo with Community Soil Foundation, and today we're going to talk about how to be proactive with our land and organized while creating possible funding with a forest management plan. Many people purchase land or are interested in purchasing land with the idea of having natural beauty and privacy, but often forget that the landscape is in a constant state of succession and changing and needs to be tended in order to keep our homes safe and our neighbors safe, as well as a healthy ecosystem. And if we do that with a forest management plan with regeneration in mind, the ecosystem actually can be more resilient for disease, fire, and flood, as well as climate change. Owning and maintaining forested land can be a lot of work, and at times it can be disorienting knowing where to get started. That's why it's good to get organized and begin a plan to coordinate and prioritize your efforts over the long term. Working with landowners here in Sonoma County after the catastrophes of the fire, we've noticed how essential it is to have a forest management plan when raising funds for the project or to create an organized approach for regeneration and your landscape. The good news is that there are many resources available, and we are here to help you sift through all that jargon and hit the ground running.
RCD stands for Resource Conservation District, and so the way that RCDs are formed is by a charter essentially from the state. So it declared that these special districts exist, and so each RCD has its own board of directors and its own goals. And so in Sonoma County we have two RCDs. We have Sonoma Resource Conservation District and Gold Ridge Resource Conservation District. Essentially, RCDs identify resource concerns and they provide best management practices and funding to help address those resource concerns. Sonoma RCD has contracts in place to help directly with landowners to prepare and implement forest management plans. There's also, we work closely with our partner, the Natural Resource Conservation Service, and they have funding to help with forest management plans or conservation plans. CAL FIRE also has funding through their CFIP program, is the California Forest Improvement Program, and so they can also offer cost share funding for landowners to be able to work with a registered professional forester to write management plans. So a forest management plan will probably cost somewhere in the range of $8,000 to $12,000. And so these cost share programs can help cover the majority of the costs that it would take for you to develop a plan like that. Everything but 15%. So we require at Sonoma RCD a 15% cost share. Development of a forest management plan is going to depend entirely on the staffing that's available for whomever is providing that service. You might get more funding available to work through directly with the RCD, but it might take a little longer versus if you went and you worked directly with a private consulting forester. It might be faster, but it might cost you more. The main forest management plan is the California Cooperative Forest Management Plan template. And so that's a template that describes all the different things that you would need to have in a management plan. So soils, roads, water course crossings, different sorts of resource concerns that might come up during the implementation of your plan. The California Cooperative Forest Management Plan, it's an agreement between CAL FIRE, the U.S. Forest Service, Natural Resource Conservation Service, and the American Tree Farm Association. And it's an agreement about all of the things that should be in a proper management plan. For NRCS, they also have what's called a conservation plan, and that might be something that's much more focused. So there's a single resource concern that you're looking at and you're trying to identify, and it's not really talking about the long-term goals and objectives of a landowner, but much more focused on a single resource concern and covering all of the environmental requirements and mitigations, or really avoidances that you would need to do to implement to meet that resource concern. So NRCS has a catastrophic events sort of category of funding that's available. And so the FMP for such a thing would really be more of a conservation plan. One of the most important things that a landowner should know before they consult is what their goals and objectives are. So everyone has their own personal reason if they own property for why they own it. Understanding what it is that you're trying to achieve in the end is the first step behind making any prescription. And almost always people have more than one objective. They might just not know it yet. As a forester, you're understanding how ecology and natural processes affect the landscape over time. And so what we're doing is we're creating prescriptions that are sort of nudging nature in the way that would create a condition to meet the goal.
Prior to your meeting with a forester, spend some time on your land and begin to make observations. What would you like this land to become in your lifetime, or your children's lifetime, or future generations? Take a minute and practice and exercise with the acronym PATO, Patient and Thoughtful Observation. Prior to this meeting, spend time on your land and ask yourself, what benefits would you like your forested land to provide? Your concerns and observations of your land are critical and need to be included in your forest management plan. This also helps the registered forester hit the ground running with your perspective and begins the work. With a forest management plan, you're not only helping the local ecosystem, your neighbors and your family, but you're thinking about a space many generations to come. We have the opportunity with patient and thoughtful observation to tend the wild and possibly receive some funding as well.